Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Enjoying Black Powder on Forgotten Weapons. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm joined again today by my friend Tom. And what are we shooting today, Tom?
We are shooting the Berdan II. It is really the first mass-produced Russian metallic cartridge black powder firearm that was adopted in any great numbers.
Yep.
As you can probably tell by the name, it was preceded shortly by the Berdan I.
Right.
The Berdan I was this weird lifting gate trapdoor thing that was very fiddly.
Who would ever adopt such a device?
I don't know. But because it had so many small fiddly parts, and Russia had not yet really entered the industrial age, they wanted something that was a little more robust and simplified. And so when Hiram Berdan came up with this design, it was quickly and readily adopted, supplanting the Berdan I.
Right. Yep. So this is 1870. It is a bolt action system with the world's most adorably tiny bolt handle on it and a 45-degree bolt throw.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't go all the way over. It only goes that far. Uses the stem of the bolt handle as a single locking lug.
As is very common for the time and perfectly adequate for black powder pressures.
Exactly. We do have an ejector in here at the base of the bolt. So right down in there. So should eject nicely. I'm really curious about this to see how well that bolt handle actually works under time pressure.
Right. The bolt handle is very, very small. It may not look that way on camera, but when you get it in your hands, it is adorable.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But as for this rifle in particular that we're shooting today, it is a standard infantry rifle. It is later production. It's an 1884 production. That is after they had made a couple of changes. So like if you look up here, it does have the add-on of the volley sights. So you could lift up the rear ladder, combine it with the front sight that is on the front barrel band, and go out to 2200 Arshin.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever it is, before metric.
So it's going to be like 1,500 meters.
Exactly, yeah.
So, the Russians used these for quite some time, although never really in a major war. So they were a second-line weapon in World War I. They had been supplanted by the 1891 Mosin. Right. They were used as military aid for places like, for example, Ethiopia.
Exactly.
And in fact, a bunch of these came back from Ethiopia with Royal Tiger within the last few years.
Exactly. Up until that point, they were kind of rare in the U.S., but that has sort of opened the floodgates, and a huge number of them have made it in.
Yeah. All right, well, let's give it a try. Now, there are a couple different ways to make the ammo for this. This is 43 Berdan?
Or 42.
42,
It's odd. They have it's one of the very first European fully metallic brass cartridge cases, and so it hadn't yet fully developed into what it was going to be, and so it has some weird eccentricities.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't make brass for it anymore, so not even the boutique manufacturers make it. So I've converted from a couple of different cartridges that I already have, and one of them I know works pretty well. The other one I want to try out for the first time today.
All right, so don't hold this against the rifle or the ammo if it doesn't work.
Yep, let's find out.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. Drop it in, close the bolt. Make the decision yes, that is how far it goes. It's not out of battery.
Ooh, nice center hit. Oh.
Well, it didn't eject, but it did extract.
It's true.
And seems to be working fairly well. Well, all right then. That makes it a lot easier.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mind if I give it a couple? Thank you. You want me to try your last two test ones?
We certainly can.
All right. So that action is just barely the right size for the cartridge. You don't have a lot of play forward and back. Dropping that in there. And then one thing I noticed when we were going through this before we started filming is there's about an inch of spring compression for the firing pin. When you push that bolt handle forward, you actually have to put some pressure on it.
Oh yeah, it is a cock-on close.
Very much so.
An early cock-on close.
Oof, with a horrible trigger. That's a very heavy trigger.
That is kind of common to the Berdan IIs.
All right, got one left. These are 4570
right
converted cases. Yeah, there we go.
Center punch.
Shoots nicely, but man, that is a heavy trigger. All right, now the proper ammo you have is converted from 43 Spanish.
Correct.
I mean, because everyone's got 43 Spanish lying around. It has no head stamp on it.
Yeah, because I also load a bunch of 43 Spanish, I obliterated the head stamp so that way there was no chance of accidentally getting mixed up. It's funny how the stuff that should work really well isn't.
All right, we're back.
Right, yeah, you may note we're kind of dressed differently and are at a different range and are on a different day.
Yes, you forgot your jacket, and I found a better Budenkova.
Yes. So what happened was we were testing out some converted 4570 brass, which was slightly shorter than the actual brass.
Right.
And so what happened was it left a nice little ring of fouling in the chamber, preventing the better quality brass from chambering properly. This is converted from 43 Spanish.
As is.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. And so had to take it home, clean it, get it ready to go. So it should be working much better today.
So in theory, if you had the 4570 based ammo,
Yes.
you could use it as long as that was all of your ammo.
Right.
It would continue to run. It would be like running a lot of 38s in a 357.
Right.
Eventually, you build up enough fouling, and this happens way faster with black.
Yeah.
But eventually, you build up enough fouling that a 357 won't chamber. That's basically what
We just speed on that.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's do a little bit of shooting with our new proper ammunition, and then we can do our speed run.
Right. We should have enough for that.
So, there we go. It's a big old bullet. It is a weird bolt with the long throw to actually chamber the round, to cock the firing pin.
And then it stops 45.
Oh, and the world's heaviest trigger. Boop. I'm hitting. Try one more. As long as you give it just a good solid chunk, it does go in and cock nicely. Not so good there. I really jerked the trigger on that one. Why don't you give it a try?
Well, it's kind of hard not to when it's like 12 pounds.
Yeah.
All right. So, like most of the rifles of the era that are using the split breech bolt action, drop round in, put bolt forward. Yeah, let's go for the...
Nice.
So the sights are typical for the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not great, but
They're not as good
Usable.
as those Mauser 71 sights.
those were pretty great for the V-notch at all there. But these are serviceable. Mostly.
I don't think the sights are the real problem with shooting this thing accurately.
Yeah,
I think
that
it's the
trigger. Yeah, that trigger is pretty heavy. Now, I've gone on the forums, I've talked to other owners and shooters of the Berdan IIs, and it is a common complaint about the hefty trigger pull. I've tried cleaning out the centuries of gunk from this, get it cleaned up and polished as much as possible. This is where we got.
I have a feeling the trigger is not a bug, it is a feature.
Possibly, if you're trying to equip a million conscripted serfs, you kind of don't want to give them hair triggers. Yeah. All right.
All right, shall we do a timed run here?
I think we should.
All right.
All right, I'll let you go first so it's nice and clean.
How about I go get the timer first?
Are you ready?
Alrighty.
Stand by.
Ah. Oh, it's getting sticky.
And 7.
Come on. All right, 39.65.
Okay, yeah, not bad. We'll knock a half second off that for me and my Butterfingers. But
Oh,
still,
I think you took care of that yourself. Not a problem to pick that round up and stick it back in the pouch when you weren't looking.
Okay.
I had a couple of issues with cartridges getting sticky.
Yes, I also had some, like you could feel it. Like there's not really any place to really grip and pull on this tiny little bolt handle.
Yeah, this is not the most ergonomic of the rifles we've used.
Yeah.
The sights are fine, but not great by any means. They certainly don't stand out.
Right.
The bolt handle's the least useful of all the ones that we've shot. The trigger's the worst of all the ones that we've shot.
Yeah.
And this is the only one where we've gotten sticky issues this quickly into our shooting.
Right. I know the throat and like the into the chambers here, it is very tight. And you can't load like groove diameter bullets in here because it is tight from the factory. And so it could be something there. It is, we're shooting the same black powder that we load everything else with, the same methodology we load everything else with. So, yeah.
It's just not a great gun.
No, I mean, if you're going to equip a mass conscript army, it's functional.
Yeah, it works. Yeah. As a recreational shooter, I think it's actually kind of convenient that the Berdans are fairly scarce guns because this isn't the one that you're going to be like, I wish I could find a Berdan because they're awesome.
Yes.
It's a cool experience. It's an interesting, different rifle, slightly.
And it is definitely a good rifle to have in a collection of late, 19th century black powder cartridge loading firearms.
For sure. But if you don't have one and you can't shoot it, you're not really missing a whole lot.
Right.
So we are going to go inside and we're going to go through the process of actually making 4.2 line Berdan ammo. Unfortunately, YouTube does not allow us to do that here. So the full version of this video is available over on the History of Weapons and War streaming app. That is a subscription-based app, hosts 8 different firearms, historical, educational channels. There's a tremendous amount. Actually, I think there are approximately 5,500 videos over there right now. Huge database of cool stuff. And we can do everything we want involving making ammo, shooting machine guns, and all that sort of stuff. So, if you're not interested, of course, we understand. But if you'd like to help support the creator community and check out our segment on making the 42 Berdan, check that out. Thanks for watching.
Along with their idiotic hats. That is the dumbest hat I have ever seen. Certainly ever had to wear.